Hi guys, it's Aegis here. So today I'm here with another D-standard deck profile, and since we are in the middle of the lyrical set, but we haven't covered everything from DBT13, so I have to cover this before I go into any kind of lyricals or like in between to do other stuff, which is to update my Zorga deck profile. So we do have some little support in DBT13, and they have to be decent support. They are. But then the meta changed so much that if you play the normal defensive Zorga build, it will be very hard for you to actually fight in the game, because for example, Youthberg, they can just crush you before you build up the defense. Token Rambu can also kind of do that. My goal is definitely going to do that. So if the longer you take means the harder for you to actually play the game. So we have to change our way to play Zorga by a lot. And in this build, you will see something that of course very familiar, but at the same time you will see some plays that I consider is like 180 degrees changes to make sure you are able to actually compete against some of the decks. So I have been playtesting this build using both red and blue Zorga on the right line to test against like Drag Jewel, no matter it is a rushing build with the mask or the Grade 4 build. It's not that easy to win still, but then based on my playtest, I think I feel a lot more comfortable to play against those two decks, except with my like defensive build, which I think is taking too long and it's not worth it. So let's look into it. Now right line, still using the normal Zorga right line, even though this one is not SP because it's in my another blue Zorga build. So I do have two builds which I can always go into different directions if you want to. So this is still the way you should go for, because you get to draw more cards, you get to pick up the order that you want to use, especially when we are trying to use orders during our grade 1 and grade 2 turns, which is very important for you to being able to pick up something that can be helpful while you are still trying to use it for the right deck, right? So you don't kind of waste it too much. Yeah, the reason I'm showing you the red Zorga here is because I have been mainly testing on red Zorga for quite a few reasons. One is that red Zorga is always good for a more aggressive play, and that it can pump the front row when you do Alchemy Magic with 4 or 5k. It's still kind of better than blue Zorga sometimes, right? For blue Zorga, you can bring something back, you can simply do Alchemy Magic, that's the good point of that. But with red Zorga, even it's harder to do Alchemy Magic, but then when you can do it, you can pump the front row, which sometimes is something that you need when you can't go into your mass unit. That little power adjustment will help you a lot. But a lot of times I will actually go into Zorga Masque on my first grade return, even when I'm not like, no matter I'm using the red or the blue. In that case, it doesn't matter too much, but it's more of a backup plan that if we can't go into that, or we just don't have too much Zorga Masque that we can prepare for the next turn to do person ride, then we might actually need to stay one turn with this. And also with red Zorga, one of the good things is you get to Soul Blast 1 and Ditch 1 to pick up an order, so it kind of lets you get prepared for Alchemy Magic, and if the Prison Dragon comes in too late, you still get a chance to actually ditch them to the drop zone. If not, if they're stuck in your hand, you need to play them, and you need to do a lot of stuff, which sometimes will be a kind of wasting your resources. So I'm putting red Zorga here, but don't worry, blue Zorga will definitely work. And if you're going for the blue Zorga, we'll basically just change it and see which one you like more. but to me I like Red Zorga a little bit more here. And then going to our main deck first. For Zorga Masque, we need the personal right. We actually need the skill from Zorga Masque for the extra 10k to the front row, the more freely to use alchemy magic with any sorts of orders, normal orders it is, which making things a lot better. And as I said again, sometimes I just go, even when I'm going first, I'm going onto Zorga Masque, first turn, immediately you put my mask in, do my alchemy magic, get the plus 10k to the front row, and I am going for the kill turn right there. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes, which shows you how fast the deck can actually be. Because if we are playing like the Zorga Masque in the past, or when we are playing a more defensive play, unless we see a need to, we usually wait, do a small punches, with the prison dragons being the crit pressure still forcing opponents to drop some guard, but our Vanguard attack will be weak, so that they will need to give you something while you might do a 2-pass, right? But this is totally different. This we are going in immediately. We are killing our opponents in 2 turns, basically. Sometimes 3, usually 2. You might say it's kind of like the previous Zorga, which is kind of doing the same thing, but we don't wait for a turn, basically, unless we don't have a choice. And that is the reason why I'm going for Red Zorga in my right deck, so that if the real guy isn't actually appearing, I can still do something very, very similar. Because if you are going first, you're going to mask, the difference to the front row is only 5k, and it can be covered. Right. And then, because we are rushing, of course we are having 4 of the prison dragons. I play them, of course, of how good they are, but then this deck is also built to let you don't worry at all when you don't see the prison dragon. I can completely fight, rushing my opponent still without the prison dragon, but with it, it's way better. For example, Great One turn if I'm going second, I am usually doing a 13, 20 free swings, so that is already something scary. Or I can do like 10, 16, and then around 20 something, or at least 15. There's a lot of ways that we can arrange the deck, or maybe like 10, 13, 20 is usually something that I can rush for, and sometimes I adjust it with 8k somewhere. So this deck completely has the potential, which I can show you in a bit. But Prison Dragon is still very important. As long as you have 1, you can run this deck very, very smooth. And then Shadow Cloak I'm running 2. The reason for 2 is because the deck space is very, very, very tight. I tried to go into 3 or even 4, but then I really need the space for something more aggressive. But that doesn't mean Shadow Cloak is not a good card in the deck. It's still one of the best cards in the deck for you to ditch certain orders, and as long as you have some soul to spare, you can always get him to pick you up something, which can be a OT to use again, PG to use again, or even just a trigger, or your Zorga Masque, so that you can personalize. There's a lot of things that you can still pick it up. And then one of the kills of Earring, so this is the multiple attacker. We only put 1 in. If we are going for a more aggressive play, we are looking for more attacks than is there. But as I keep saying, from different Zorga deck profiles, Zorga analysis that I have with this card, is that you need to prepare a lot of things for this to happen. So is it good to have? And if you are playing aggressively, it should be there, but you don't need to put it too much. And given that we don't have a lot of space, that I already cutting my Shadow Cloak into 2, I don't have more space for this. So 1 is okay. You just need it come in at the right time, and then you wait for the Treasure Tree marker just slot in, and then you just need one counterblast to do the 4th attack. That's what it does. And then the new card from the DBT13, Filanda. So this is the card that changes how we play Zorga. So it does 2 effects. One of them is when this card appears to Riga Circle from hand, you can look at the top 5 cards of the deck, you can choose up to 1 card, discard it and shuffle it out. So this searches you the orders that you want to put into the drop. This searches you the order that you need to put into the drop for Alchemy Magic if you don't have any. This card also search you the Prison Dragon that you see from the 5 so that you can ditch it and then go into Alchemy Magic and bring back the Prison Dragon, or you can just put your Zorga Masque down so that you can pick it up with Shadow Cloak. There's a lot of things you can do. And the second skill is that during your turn, if your drop zone has 10 or more cards, this unit will get plus 10k. So it will be 18k boost, which even with a Shadow Cloak, without anything, is just 28. With Zorga Masque skill is already 38, so the power is already being very, very high. And one weak point when we're using Kyo's appearing is that if we don't have the extra power boost, usually it's very, very weak because it's 5k body. On the Dragon Chain marker is 10. Usually you get to have it plus 10 because you can only use it when you're on Zorga Masque and you probably be Alchemy Magicking. So it will be a 20k base. Pressure might go to 30. Right? So even with it, when it's 20 plus 18 is still 38, so it's still a very key number, and then plus another 10 will be 48. It's not that easy to guard. So the extra 10k is very important, and one of our goals in this deck is to make sure we can get to 10 cards in drop when we are going into our first Grief Return. It's possible, it's not easy, but we can do it. And then one of the Dragon Ship Wretch, Cal, he's here to basically generate the marker we'll need it for our keys of rearing. If we don't see this, we probably won't be using the skill to generate the Dragon Ship marker at all. If we don't need it, we just save it for something else. And then we always use it for picking up orders if we need it, to Soul Blast the cards, usually order cards, that we want to pick it up so that we can reuse them again for doing any sorts of Alchemy Magic. So it's still a good card, but I need to put my space for this. So I'm only running 1, and we have these 4 cards, 4 chances to actually search it out. As long as it gets into the drop zone, we have ways to reborn it. And then 2 mushrooms. This is something that I have not been using in any single of my Zorga build. It's not that this is not working. A lot of my Western friends already like using this card. For example, I was first introduced using mushroom in Zorga from Outer Orange, and then recently Commander Jaime is also using that. Probably his previous build also including this as well. So I've learned it from my Western friends, but in the past builds, because I'm playing a more defensive way, and I always have tier 4 Melas ready, so I'm not into using mushrooms. Again, not that they are wrong or something, but just that it doesn't fit what I was trying to build. So I wasn't using mushroom at all, but now is the right time, because if we are going for the rushing, mushrooms is definitely the card that saves you from letting you doing it. It stamps on Prison Dragon so you can reuse them. In your Grade 1 turn, if you have a mushroom, a Prison Dragon, and then a Frozen Resentment, you can basically build a 4 plant tokens, 1 8k Vanguard, and a 15k Prison Dragon. That is a 10, 13, 20 first turn without using a single color lost, right? And from there, you can already start building up the rushing part. And if you have this, then it can help you with the power adjustment a little bit more. Yeah, so There's a lot of things that you can do. Also, because I'm playing Red Soldier, soul is very important. If I can't get into my Zorga Masque, I can always use a mushroom to fill in the soul. So I can soul blast it to activate my ability to use alchemy magic, and then the precision dragon can work. Yeah. So it's still a very good card to use. And PGs I'm only using 3. I'm not using the vids order. It's only 3. So what you see here is all the PGs I got. I was playing 4, but then I cut into 3 for more spaces, for example, to maximize these, to make sure I still have room for a Shadow Cloak, room for the mushrooms, and because we are playing a very aggressive game, so that's usually when I'm going for a more aggressive play, I at least starting to cut my PGs from 4 to 3. That's usually what I do. And it still works because we have a lot of ways to actually find them, put them back to our hand, and reuse them. So 3 is really okay. And now, more importantly, what sort of orders that I'm using to make sure this deck is aggressive. Now, of course, we have to use some mass orders, right? So I'm running 2. That is basic for Zorga Masque that we are using 2. 1 is definitely not okay. I tried it and I feel the pain, so no go for it there. And then Cloud Miasma, because this is a grade 3 order, so I'm not using this like with multiple copies, because I have to wait until grade 3 in order to use that. Even though I can bring something back and then bounce back with my Shadow Cloak, and then it gets the plus 5k adjustment, which makes Zorga Masque into plus 15k to front row and 20k and 10k to Red Soldier, but then it's a grade 3 order again. So to me, it's too slow, but when I'm getting there, it helps. So I'm still putting 1 copy. As long as I have 1, I can still manage to use it once or twice, and that's all I need. And then we have this new little order right there, grade 2 order from DBT13 that allows you to drop the top card of the deck and then pick up a card with grade lower or equal to your Vanguard. If it's a regard, you call it a regard circle. If it's a normal order, it goes back to your hand. So it mill your deck by 1, and then you get to basically pick anything you want, because you're on alchemy magic, which means you are always on grade 3. But if you're on grade 2, then you can pick anything that is grade 3, but you can just basically pick everything you see in the drop zone, as long as its grade is lower or equal to your Vanguard. So this allows you to pick up all the orders that you need for the next turn. It can, for example, bring in the cow simply for free. Then you can color boss one and generate the Dragon Chain marker links to your Kills appear. So yeah, it's just a very good card, but then it's not very powerful, I would say that, but then it's a very efficient card that I suggest people to give it a try this order out and have fun with it. And then E-Rendering Souls is a good card for you to chase damage, to make your opponent scary to your Vanguard attacks, because our Prison Dragon will always be the scary one with crit, that your opponents will always try to block it. And when you go to Vanguard, it's just like, okay, I might just take 1 damage, so I will take it. But this is making sure that it's not happening. So it's not something that you always go in for any sort of alchemy magic combo, because you need to ditch an order and sometimes you will run out. So do be careful. Sometimes I use it and think it's a go in turn, and then my opponents basically drop everything, they survive, and then I run out of gas. That happens, so you need to play it very well to make sure the timing is right. Okay. And then next I'm running the Nectar. So this is a card that I wasn't thought of using because this is usually not the card to use in Zorga for quite a long time, mainly because we have Prison Dragon to gain crits. But if we are really actually going to a slightly longer game, and then when we don't see any Prison Dragon, this is a card that generates the crit, and this card makes you feel less trouble, feel less pressure to actually when you don't see Prison Dragon at all, because you do have a lot of cards that ditch cards, but if a card is not appearing, it is not. So like even sometimes I'm only having one Prison Dragon and I want to apply the pressure, what can I do? When I have a lot of cards in drop, I use the Nectar plus the power to maybe this or maybe this, depending what I have on board, usually this, or even just any of the great ones. They can still be a scary unit with crit. So that's the reason I'm using this card and actually helping me sometimes, not a lot of times, but sometimes, and when I really need a unit with one crit to have two crits, that is basically the card that you need to go for. And don't forget, this card is always a free order to use without any cost, and you usually can at least gain 5k from it, which sometimes when you're lacking counterblast, when you're lacking souls and you need to go in to make your Prison Dragon rise, you can even just put 5k to one of these to make them at least 13, be a good boost, and then bring up the Prison Dragons and start swinging, right? So I think that is still a very important order to use, and it's a little secret ingredient that I'm putting in case something goes wrong. And then Frozen Resentment, I've talked about the combo that you can do if you're going second with a great one. Grade 2 you can kind of do the same, and it's something that helps you to increase the drop by the soul blasting, by the looking free to put something there, and it can bring something out. Nothing much more I need to say. And then Misty Habitat, this is another free order that you can use, and instead of looking from a drop zone, you are finding cards from the deck. That's basically it. And lastly, before I go into triggers, the golden boy of this deck is the rousing reps. So you never see it coming, I guess, and here it is. It's a very interesting order. Counterblast 1. With the top 5 cards of the deck, choose up to one card with crit greater than or equal to your Vanguard from among them, reveal it and put it to your hand, and discard the rest. So it's basically a mill 5 pickup, pick one up from there, right? And because we always want to see this to become 18k, we need to mill that very very fast. This is not fast enough, so we're directly dropping 5. You might say it's very risky that you drop your OT, but then if you can rush your opponent so hard that if they don't see an OT on their end, they are over, that I think it's totally worth it. We have, I have tried to play with a lot of different people, also like suggesting people to use it, and so far everyone is very happy to actually use this card. They know the risk and they enjoy it. Because think about that, you use one card for a right deck, you soul rasp with your Ranger Chain, and then you at least ditch one, and then if you have 2 of these, that's 2 more, and then with this, that's already 10, right? Even though you pick one up back up, what you need is just basically 1 card. Or more importantly, imagine when you also alchemy magic with a card without any cost, then what you need is only 1 more card. So it's actually quite easy to achieve, but then do make sure to adjust your amount of cards in the drop zone depending on the prison dragons, because when they come out they are directly a -1 in drop, so sometimes you might be 1 card to 2 cards short. That's why you need to use different orders to and different skills to make sure you get a 10. And as long as you can do it on your first graveyard turn, especially when you are going first, this will be very, very scary. Like if you have 3 Filanda in the back row plus 10k, so it's 18, 18, and then your front row, say if you don't have your person right, your Zorga Masque is plus 10, so your Vanguard will be 23 plus 18 is 41 on your first turn, while your opponents at grade 2. Your prison dragons will be 15, 25, 35, 43 without dragon tree markers. So you're doing 41, 43, 43. And if by chance you have another dragon tree marker ready there for your key severing, then there's another swing. So that kind of first turn is very scary as long as you can grab the first turn. And even when you're going second, that only means you get an extra 10k because when you go into Zorga Masque you're person riding. Right? So I think the strategy changed by a lot, and the main thing is we don't have to go into our grade 3 to win our games. We are already doing 3 punches and effective punches every single turn. Early game, cutting out your opponent's resources when they are low. Like for example, if you're facing Youthberg, they need to play a lot of cards on the field to get the combo pieces ready, so when they're going to their grade 3 turn they can actually go for the full blast and just go into you, right? And you are cutting their resources early game. And by going very aggressive, this allows your opponents don't have a lot of resources to fight you back. You might still lose to Youthberg when they are good at triggering, but that's something that's like the nature of the game that you can't do anything about. But then you might actually survive the turn and then go into your turn to just swing them back, right? So I think this strategy is totally worth it. And let's also go into the triggers to conclude the deck profile. Now, OT, I'm using the Zoikia OT so that I can get a lot more buffs. But if you want to use the red elemental, the fire elemental one, you can use it. The reason I'm not using that one is I know that sometimes I don't see Prison Dragon at all, and 200 million single strike swing is not good enough, so I'm putting the crit somewhere else and allowing me a chance to get crit to my Vanguard a little bit more so I can end games a lot faster. Sowing crit is just good, especially when I'm using Red Soldier formal crits. And instead of fronts, I'm actually using the effectuals because I need to draw into my combo pieces. Sometimes in defensive, I just need the draw to give me an extra card to defend myself. So yeah, there it is. And then 4 normal kills. We are playing a quick game. We don't need to put in effect heals. If you want to, you can, but I don't suggest. We just need basic guard numbers, especially for the early game, so that we can survive. And as long as we guard carefully early game, go into a great return, swing hard, and then get swing hard for 1 turn and survive it with less resources, and then you swing again, I think you can start doing some good returns. And you probably, if you can just basically take in everything for one of the kill turns, got 1 or 2 maybe, and then doing a full swing back at them, you probably can still win the game. That's how aggressive we're trying to aim for. Yeah, so that's basically the deck profile. Do let me know if you have any questions, but the idea is very simple. Just go in all out when you can. It's a completely rush build, that, especially when you're facing against a drag duo, if they don't know what you're playing, they don't know your strategy, they will have a hard time even if they play normally, because I aim to make them suffer when they before they go into grade 4, because when they go into grade 4 is the area that I'm very hard to guard every single attacks, and I usually have to take at least 2 attacks, right? So I am stopping them from doing that, and even when they are very clever to reduce my resources, not letting me to do a lot of things, they are still at the same time not having the resources to swing at me fully, while as long as I somehow have some prison dragons available, they will still feel the threats, right? So yeah, I suggest you to give it a try, and do let me know your thoughts on this. So far I'm very happy with this build. I'm still trying to make it better, but yeah, do comment if you try other cards. Feel free to let me know, share the knowledge, share this out to your friends who wants to play Zorga in this kind of DBT13 meta, that rushing is one way to go. Unless you want to play grade 4 Dracula Ignis, then that's another way. Yeah, so also subscribe for more deck profile, deck fights, unboxing videos, and I will see you guys in the next video. Signing off.